Hello, I'm Susan Dinkle, and this is my EDL 853 case study. Nottingham High School is in the Dover School District. There are 6 elementary schools, 2 middle schools, and 1 high school in our district. We're known for our great schools and our very successful athletic programs. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez transferred into the district for these 2 qualities. Their son, Miguel, was the starting quarterback for the varsity football team. In the playoffs, Miguel was unfortunately hit after a touchdown pass and was paralyzed from the waist down. Once Miguel was ready to come back to school, he was removed from his biology class by Miss Gussman simply because this classroom was not ADA compliant and therefore was not wheelchair accessible. Unfortunately, this biology class is a college preparatory class, which is the curriculum that Miguel was working through. Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez were not told that Miguel would not be able to attend all of the same classes when he returned. Therefore, they were very, very upset. Due to the removal of Miguel from biology, they felt like this school actually infringed on his rights, and they unfortunately hired an attorney. So there are a few legal and ethical issues involved in this case. Legally, this school is not meeting IDEA and ADA requirements. Even though it may not be cost effective to modify the school, there is a need to make sure that classes are held in classrooms that are accessible to all students. The school must be able to offer these classes to all students as if they don't have a disability. Ms. Gussman made the modification without parental consent and notice given with a class that would meet graduation requirements for science, but it was not a college preparatory class, which is what Miguel and his parents wanted. In one sentence, Nottingham High School had time to prepare for Miguel's return to school, but they did not. The people involved in this particular case are Miguel, Mr. and Mrs. Hernandez, myself, Miss Gussman, who was the counselor, Dr. Harvey, the superintendent, Howard Carey, the Hernandez's attorney, and his teachers and his classmates. Again, this is Nottingham High School in the Dover School District. The building themselves are older, with 75% updates having been made to the schools. To help offset that, they have put in some trailer classrooms that are ADA compliant. And this public high school is well known for its academic and athletic success. So it's critical that we keep a really good reputation. As I think about the information in this case study, I need to take all parties into consideration. The Hernandez family, and especially Miguel, need to be kept at the heart of the matter. Miguel was heading on the college track and was able to keep up with the course load while he was recovering from his injury in the hospital. That being said, I need to keep that at the forefront of my mind prior to him returning to school. I know he's coming back. As an administrator, I need a working knowledge of the district policies, including Section 504 of IDEA, as well as any state guidelines that I need to follow. So when thinking through options that I might have, I want to talk about 4 different options. The first option is to take no action. The consequences of doing this is that Miguel will be in a non-college preparatory class, and the district may be faced with a lawsuit. This is not benefiting Miguel, and our reputation could become compromised within the state. We certainly don't want that to happen. Option 2, fire Ms. Gussman and spend the money to update the classroom. Some of the consequences for this. Obviously, Ms. Gussman will lose her job, and all students she has been working with will be without her help. We may not have the money to update the classroom, and we are without the classroom while modifications are being made, and that could become an issue. The third option would be to change the biology classroom to another room or provide a modified classroom with virtual abilities for him. Some of the consequences of this is that moving all students may cause undue stress on them, as well as not having the needed items in the classroom for the class, which would make it very stressful for the teacher. Anybody who has had to teach a class that is not in their regular classroom knows that sometimes you have a tendency to forget things as you're carrying books back and forth, and this becomes an issue. So we certainly would not want that. The teacher could be unwilling to teach it virtually. After this COVID-19 pandemic, I don't know too many teachers that really ever want to go back to that form of teaching, but if necessary, I think most of them could. Miguel could feel excised from his classmates for causing the uproar too, and you certainly would not want that. He doesn't need any bullying or any other undue stress put on him. The last option I came up with is to work closely to create a 504 plan. Some of the consequences might be that there will be a loss of instructional time since this wasn't thought to be needed prior to Miguel's return to school. His parents had told us that they did not feel like anything extra was going to have to be done for his return. So therefore we did not plan on that. There also may be some unexpected costs for needed accommodations with this. So I need to make sure that I work closely with my superintendent as well to make sure that financially we're able to do that. So let's talk about my options and evaluate them. So when I was thinking about my options, I must decide if I have done enough to prepare for Miguel's return to school, and then I have to implement the most effective strategy prior to his return. So it's important that I evaluate, cultivate, and advocate for equitable access to educational resources, technologies, and opportunities that support the educational success and well-being of all my students. So this means keeping Miguel at the front of my mind. Again, I should have been doing this all the time while he was in recovery, thinking, what is going to be my next plan? I would want to visit with the counselor, his teachers, and the superintendent prior to Miguel's return so everyone would be on the same page. That would, of course, be after I have already spoke with his parents, his doctors, to make sure that everything was going to be as we thought it would be. So let me choose the best option. In this case, I'm going to choose option 4. I'm going to recommend that I create a Section 504 plan. This would give guidance and accommodations to us for Miguel. This allows all stakeholders a say in what happens to Miguel, keeping his well-being at the front of any decisions that are being made. I would then recommend that we really work on creating a plan to become ADA compliant in all of our classrooms. I know that this is costly, but it is obviously something that needs to be put as a priority to our district. Implementing the decision. I would implement the 504 plan even though it's usually not done by the school itself. I would work closely with the superintendent, the special education department, and his teachers to see what we can do for needed modifications. Second, I would work closely with my superintendent, making sure that everything being done is legally acceptable and that I'm doing as much as I possibly can to protect myself, and that he is working closely with the board and any other stakeholders to make needed modifications in the classroom. I would then communicate with Miguel's parents to make sure that they are aware of everything that we are trying to do as a school for Miguel's education, his well-being, and let's be honest, this transparency and this relationship is going to be critical in the future of Miguel. If they're not happy with this decision, then I suspect that option 3 would be the next best option, moving the class or using technology to teach him virtually. I would not recommend doing that, but if I would absolutely have to, then I absolutely would. I would then, if that was not an option for some particular reason, I would probably just go ahead and have them sue us. We are providing accommodations of a different class. Even though it is not a college prep class, he would still be able to graduate. I know that that's not the best course of action, but it is something that I think we can fully support and would be okay with, legally speaking. Here is the NELP standard for this particular case study, and thank you for watching.